Welcome to the Philadelphia Museum of Art Contemporary Craft Show Artist Talk with Philadelphia ceramicist Angela Humes. Angela, thank you so much for joining us today. I understand that you did not start out as a ceramicist, so I was hoping that you could share a little bit about your journey into your craft.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you. I actually started out as a photographer. I got my BFA from Pratt Institute in 2012, and my major it was analog photography. So analog photography is very process oriented. There's lots of steps to it, and everything kind of went digital. So I kind of fell out of love for that digital aspect and I started doing ceramics because it is very process oriented. And that's part of what I like about the medium.
And I think, you can show us some, I know you're going to walk us through everything in a little bit, but I thought to talk a little bit about what inspires your design. I can see it in the background, but maybe if you hold up a piece and talk a little bit about that, because it's so unique and beautiful.
Sure. So I am a first generation Palestinian American, and my designs are derived from my heritage. And it's very intuitive. Everything that I do is very whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And so nothing is the same because of that. All the designs are completely unique. I don't repeat patterns. I very much love black and white. So all of my pieces are black and white. I have just a couple dishes I can show you.
That's gorgeous. And so they seem, are you sketching them out by hand, or is it something that it's a very free form, but they seem very uniform, or and
Sure, I get that question a lot. So it does, they're very tight. The patterns are very tight. I completely do it by hand. I just eyeball it and just start at the bottom and work my way up. And I always like to add little like extra surprise elements. So like underneath the lid, you'll see decorations. I like to, in my signature, put a little decoration in the signature. Um, yeah, and my technique is called sgraffito. So what I do is I paint the entire piece black with a black clay. I work in porcelain. I throw all the forms on the wheel. Um, and my forms are also very intuitive as well, like whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And then after my form is created and I trim the piece, I paint the whole thing black. You can see it kind of like it's my practice piece so you can see, but pretend that this is all black. And then what I do is I take a tool and I just draw. It's just so whatever is white is actually where I'm drawing. I don't know if you can kind of like see me make a line there, but like wherever is white is actually where my tool has hit the clay and taking the black away. Um, and that's what creates the design on my piece. I just freehand draw on them.
and so so let's start from the beginning. So you're throwing it on the wheel, and at that point it's clay
Yes, it's
and
porcelain. Yeah.
and it's porcelain. So and it's still soft when you're scratching, like there's no baking first, you just start with it.
Right. So there's a couple different stages to clay before it goes through the first firing, which is called the bisque firing. When clay, before it's fired, it's called greenware. And when you first throw it, obviously it's very wet. It has a lot of moisture in it. And then there's this stage where it's called leather hard, and it's called that because it feels like leather when you touch it tactilely. And at that stage, I paint on my black clay or underglaze, as we call it, and then I wait for it to dry enough to be able to start to scratch and make my designs on them.
And then once your design is complete, which I'm sure, and I would love to know how long that takes, and if you put it down in between, you're working on multiple
Sure.
pieces.
Yeah, so it depends on how big the piece is. Like, for example, I finished this piece just really big, but I finished this piece the other night and kind of try to angle it so you can see it, but this has not been fired at all yet. This took me about 16 hours just to draw. Um, and yeah, it has not been fired. So you can kind of, I don't know if you can kind of see, but the tool marks in it from where I'm scratching away. Remember, the white is where I'm scratching, so that's where my tool has hit. So the black is what's left behind. And you can kind of sort of see that a little bit more before it's been glaze fired, because the glaze kind of fills in the tool marks a little bit. This piece has also not been fired yet. And you can see my tool marks in here. This is a lidded jar, but you can kind of see the, I don't know, can you see the tool marks? I lost audio on you. I can't hear you.
Oh, that was me on mute, but I was saying you can't really see all the grooves, but I can, you can certainly see the design, and it's really incredible because it does seem like you're taking away so much more, and you're left with the very fine detail of the black design.
Yep, it's just drawing. I just draw, just like never have a plan. I just go at it, and whatever it is, it is.
And then, so once you're putting the glaze on, then that's pretty much the last step.
Yeah, so when it's bisque fired, I then take it and I dip it in my glaze that I made. It's a Celadon glaze, which means it's translucent. Is like being translucent is indicative of a Celadon. And this is what it looks like. So this piece has been bisque fired and it's been dipped in glaze. So the glaze is actually, it's like, think of it as like a powdered, a powdered glass. So it's, I don't know if you can kind of tell, but like, it's like there's a powder on there. And when it goes through the high firing, because my porcelain is a high fire porcelain, it vitrifies, or the particles all come together and the glaze turns into the clear glass that you then see the shiny coating. Let me show you this piece so you can see it's shiny, it's finished. Again, little surprises because I like that a lot. Yep, so it's shiny because there's glaze on top of it.
And I have a quick question. So it seems like, they're incredibly decorative, but they also seem quite functional. So can you talk a little bit about what, was that a big serving platter that you said you were working on? And what are a few of the other types of pieces that you're making? So it looks like I've seen mugs and even decorative little pots.
Yes. So my thought, I do like to make functional objects, and my thought behind it is I'm trying to transcend the function into art. So yes, you can use these pieces, but they aren't just, it's not just a mug. It's a piece of art, and every piece is like that. So, you can display it, you can hang it on your wall if it's a plate, or you can use them. They're meant to be used, but just so you can kind of feel fancy while you're using it.
I think every day we should use something a little fancy, and your work certainly would be that. Is there any special care that's involved with it?
Well, you want to hand wash them. I mean, you absolutely can put them in the dishwasher, but if something bangs around, it is porcelain. They're fragile, so you want to try to take good care of it and not like bang it around or anything. Yeah, just kind of, unless I will say some of my pieces have white gold on them. I love white gold, and it's a third firing. So the first firing is the bisque firing, second firing is the glaze firing, and the third firing, some of my pieces have, can you kind of see that it looks silver?
You can pick up a little bit of that.
And I can, if I tilt it, so all of these lines are all silver here. And then on the lid, I don't know, it's hard to see in this lighting, but there's white gold on the surface, and that's a third firing, a much lower temperature in firing. And it's actually a toxic firing. The gold itself is suspended in pine resin. And so you have to be very careful not to like get it on your fingers, or when it is in the kiln, you don't want to breathe in that what's emitted into the air, because it's not good for you. But it's so pretty.
It's good, but the finished product's the same, and you can use it in the same. The functionality is the same as those
Well, you
without.
don't want to put anything with white gold in the dishwasher. And just like any china that you might find with gold on it, you've seen with the yellow gold. They always tell you don't put it in the dishwasher or in the microwave because it's metal. And that's very true because it does wash out over time.
Well, it's certainly stunning, and I think it's just all the more reason to come and visit you when you're at the show this year to see it in person, so you can see all of those fine details. I do have another question, just so you said it takes 16 hours to work on a piece. Are you going back and forth with other pieces, or do you focus all of your time on one piece before moving on to the next?
I have a very hard time working on multiple pieces. I get in kind of like a Zen mode when I'm working on one piece and I start to finish it. So if it takes me 16 hours to decorate, I am decorating for 16 hours because I don't like to stop and start. I get like in it's very, I can't really explain it. It just feels like I'm in a trance almost. It's very meditative.
Wow. So that's 16 hours without, you're just taking small breaks and just coming back to it.
Yeah, and just drawing. I completely lose track of time when I'm working on a piece. Something that big takes 16 hours. Like this jar behind me, probably took me about 12 or maybe 13 hours. And I don't just make jars and um, plates and mugs and chalices and all that, all those lovely things. I also make lanterns. So the really cool thing about porcelain is that when it's thin, um, it glows when you put a light in it. So this piece right here is a lantern, right here. And what I do is I threw the form, and then I took a tool, a carving tool, this one, and I just carved the designs into the tool, or I'm sorry, into the form. And where I carved, it's thinner in those areas, right? Because you're taking clay away from those areas, and it glows with the light behind it.
I've noticed that it has I can see the yellow glow from that, but is that not finished either? Because it looks all one, or do you keep all of those one color?
Yeah, so for the lanterns, I mostly keep them just porcelain. I don't put the black underglaze on them because I really like the feel of just the porcelain. There's something very beautiful about it. And if you come and see me and you touch the pieces and you realize they're smooth, they're kind of soft. There's a really lovely quality that porcelain gives.
It looks very delicate and like lace from here.
Thank you very much.
So I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to share that, or about some of the pieces, I hope that we'll see some lanterns at the show, or anything else that we can expect to see.
Sure. I also make earrings. I'm wearing a pair right now. Let's see. And these are lotuses. My hair is in the way. Um, I make I make necklaces. I love porcelain jewelry. I think that it's not too heavy. It feels really nice to use. But yes, you'll also see lanterns, and you'll see my lidded vessels, plates, wall plates. I absolutely love a wall plate. So you'll see lots of those. Yeah, yeah, and mugs and chalices. Chalices are very fun to make, so you'll definitely see those as well. And little demi-tasse cups, which I make a lot of those, and bowls, just, what you would expect to see from a ceramic artist.
Well, jewelry is not that's a lovely surprise. And I think a lot of people watching this will be excited to hear that as well. It seems like it's such an incredible collection. There's probably something for everyone and for their home or to wear, which I love. We're so excited to have you join us this year. And I didn't know if you wanted to share anything else.
I am very excited to be this will be my second year. I'm so excited to come back and to see everyone again. And I'm just so appreciative of this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Angela. Thank you for sharing your gorgeous work. And you can see Angela Humes and her beautiful pieces at the Philadelphia Museum of Art Contemporary Craft Show at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Exhibit Hall F. Thank you.